Hey, everyone. It's me, Cris Rivers. I'm excited to be here with another episode of Poe on the Call.
Yes, and I'm Mandy Mac.
We are here today with the incredible Poe coach and Poe champion, Little Snipper.
Hey,
Yes, thank you so much again for being here with us tonight. I'm excited to get to know you more.
thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yes, our
Yes.
pleasure. Mandy, take it away.
Because we should start at the very beginning. We usually start with, how did you get into pole dancing? A dime a dozen, right? The infamous Groupon story. When I started in 2011, pole was not anywhere what it is today. And me and one of my girlfriends, we had always talked about wanting to do secretly like a pole or a burlesque class. And at the time, my friend was going through some stuff and she couldn't join me. And I was like, you know what? There's this Groupon. It's 20 bucks. It's an hour and a half class. Let me just go and try it out. So I go to this class, women of all different ages, and we did the class. And then we sat there in a circle. And the instructor goes and she goes, all right, ladies, now who's ready to sign up? And I shot my hand up and I looked around and my hand slowly kind of coming down because I was the only one. And she looked at me and she goes, honey, she goes, I already knew you were going to sign up. I was like, oh God. And the rest is history. 13 years later, still kicking. I love it. Sometimes you have to go alone. Oh, yeah. Definitely started in like the long yoga pants and the long, and then it got to tank tops. The shorts got a little shorter.
I
They
love
got
that.
a little shorter. Sports bra.
I love that. As an instructor, I find that journey to watch students feel more comfortable to be able to come that way, like beautiful to watch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They definitely start coming into their own skin, into their own feelings. They grow not only as like an individual, um, as friends, as, students. It's it's always, even though they may not see their progress through the journey, but like we see it as an instructor, as a coach, and it's just kind of like, it's like, do you remember where you were like 6 months ago? Like you are, whoa, you are like making leaps and bounds, and this is so awesome. And it's so awesome to watch and to help them grow and just bloom into like a beautiful butterfly.
Yes, I love that. So, I mean, let's get into what happened with your transition from student to becoming an instructor and a coach.
Surprisingly enough, I was asked by my instructor, um, because my instructor at the time had found out that she was pregnant. And it was kind of one of those things where I was like, oh, okay, like, sure, I'll take over. She'll be back, in a couple of months. And it turned out she didn't come back after her baby, which is totally fine as well. But that's just kind of how I stepped into the role. I had always enjoyed pole class, and it was always kind of one of those things where I was like, I kind of want to like be an instructor, and I think it would be really awesome to. And obviously in the beginning, everything is rough and you like second guess everything. I used to write out my entire workout, the entire warm up. And now I'm just like, now I just write down the trick that I'm teaching or like snippets of the choreo. But yeah. So I kind of fell into it, but I always knew that I wanted to be an instructor. Um, in my muggle life, I am an ER nurse. And I do enjoy the teaching aspect of things, especially with like new nurses and stuff. So I feel like that's kind of I don't want to say necessarily like second nature, but also being a nurse, we do have a lot of teaching opportunities. So I feel like that's just kind of something that I really enjoy doing.
Right. I found like a lot of our members of our pole community are in the healthcare field as well. And I always wonder how you guys balance that. Like it just seems like so much. But I guess it's a stress relief.
Actually, pole is my stress relief.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah. Yeah. Being in the ER, I mean, I've been an ER nurse for 13 years. I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the entire world. But you definitely do have to have some sort of disconnect, when you walk out those doors where it's just kind of like you need to have that debriefing moment and then, continue on.
amazing. Did you have any like dance or gymnastics background before you started pole or
When I was little, your parents put you in everything, right? So we did do a little bit of tap, jazz, ballet, all that stuff. Do kind of have dance in our family. My aunt was a high school dance instructor for her entire teaching career. I myself did cheerleading from seventh grade to a freshman in college. I did try out for the gymnastics team. I want to say, I think when I was a junior in high school, which was way too late. But I was very proud of myself because I eventually learned how to do a cartwheel on the balance beam, but I was not one of those tumbling, amazing people. I was a base or I was a back spot. I wasn't the flyer. I was the type of person where if shit was going haywire, I'm gonna catch my friend.
oh my gosh, I was reading your bio too, and you said you do a lot of doubles. I'm wondering now if that helps with your doubles routine.
It does. It does, very much so. And I feel like with me and my doubles partner, Amanda, our doubles name is Highly Unstable. Um, and we just had a performance at the Minx Extravaganza with Michelle down in St. Louis, which is always an amazing time. But I feel like even having doubles, we do a fair share of, who's flyer, who's base, depending on what are your more go-to tricks. Um, so, but it definitely helps.
Yes, I kind of want to ask what is one of your go-to doubles tricks because I love doubles pole.
One of our go-to doubles tricks is we do, and I don't even know, like I swear like it doesn't even have a name, but we pretty much almost do it in every performance. But Amanda goes on the pole and she goes into an outside leg. Her hand has my ankle and I have her foot and I'm in like a pole sit. And then I take my one leg, I thread it through to the other side of the pole. Both hands come up on her ankle. So she's holding my ankle and I'm holding hers. And we're in this really pretty kind of like, I'm in like a passe leg shape. It's super pretty. I'll have to send you guys a picture of it. And then the other move that we worked really hard on was I was doing an iron X on the bottom and she's holding the pole and holding my leg into a little like L sit where she like stands, on the side of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
OMG, so strong. I love that. I can't wait to see the first pic, but I could definitely picture the second one of the Iron X. God, that's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely were like, damn, we're strong as hell mamas. Cause she also has two kids as well.
I love that. OMG.
Mamas be making a comeback.
Yes. Which, I mean, can we maybe go into that? What helped you get back into pole after starting motherhood? Because I mean, I can't even imagine how hard it is to balance time and just everything.
Yeah, I feel like your training definitely, at least for me, and everybody's different and everybody has a different story and a birth experience. For me, I still am working. I'm, kind of like a part-time working, still, teaching 2 nights at a pole, at two different pole studios. And then my husband's job. But we have very kind of like crazy schedules because my husband is a firefighter paramedic. So he has those 24 on, 48 off. We're definitely not Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 type jobs. So training looks very different for us, especially when it comes to like my pole. A lot of times I spend after classes or before classes. I do a lot more training at home, but definitely trying to find the work mom pole balance is hard. It's tricky, you know, and there's many times where I've had the mom guilt of I should be doing something with my kids versus like exercising or polling. And then the times when I am at home and I do pole and my kids are at home, they're like, hey, mom, it's my turn. It's my turn. And they want to start running around the pole. And I'm just like, all right, well, that was productive. But honestly, like I would have it no other way because they love running around the pole. They love climbing it. They're like, I want to go to the top. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. But it's tricky though. But you know, you just kind of find time.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And children on pole, oh,
Yes,
it's easy. I find that they're so when they're young and they learn at that age, like, oh, the possibilities are endless.
for real.
Right. And even just like when we were talking about from the beginning, like the how pole dancing changes us. Like imagine getting to the top of the pole at such a young age and just like
Yes. It's like they can do anything.
Oh
yes.
yeah. Oh yeah. They may monkey climb right now, but you know what? They'll learn.
Same.
And there's nothing wrong with monkey climbing.
Uh,
Yes.
I love
Speaking of monkey climbing, what is your favorite pole dance style?
Oh, what is my favorite style? I feel like it's so funny because when I started pole, the main love that I initially had with pole was more of like the athletic side. So I definitely loved like the tricks and the hard combos and the flips, and I still love them. But I feel like over time my style has definitely changed. Like I've tapped more into the sexy, into the sensual, um, I really loved the hard hitting, Russian style, pre-kids. And then post kids, it's kind of like I started kind of having to change and work more on the self-love, self-acceptance, the changes that your body goes through, like after pregnancy and postpartum. So I've definitely gotten more in touch with the super sensual, super sexy side. I still love the hard hitting beats, but I've definitely slowed down a lot. But don't tempt me with a good time with flips because I love flips too.
Yes, I think that's a great combination. Central and flips when you want to.
Because you never know when you just want to be like super like sultry and sexy, and then all of a sudden you're gonna like throw in a flip and be like, bam, you didn't
Yeah,
expect that.
no, not at all. Flip into something sultry.
Hmm.
I love it.
Yep.
Oh, sultry and dynamic movement. That's so hot. Too funny. So, do you mind going into your competition experience and sharing a little bit with that?
Sure. I have been competing. So I started pole in 2011. My first competition was in 2012. It was Midwest, which unfortunately is not round anymore, the competition. Um, but I did an essentials division, and it was the first time that I had danced in little kitten 6-inch heels. I did a country song, Stuck Like Glue. Um, if you know the song, you know. I had so much fun and I happened to win, and I feel like I was hooked since then. I've been competing pretty much every year. I have competed in New York at USPDF. I did compete in their amateur division. I did earn my pro card with them. I did 2 other pro USPDF competitions with them, which was such a great competition. If Wendy's ever listening, I hope she brings it back because it was such a great competition in New York. I've done a lot of competing with PSO. You know, I've competed in their level 5. I've placed at their virtual nationals when I was actually pregnant with my first kiddo. That was fun. I did compete live at a nationals back in California once. But I mean, everybody's just so amazing. I did script down in Canada, which was an incredible experience. It was so much fun. That was definitely my first international competition. I've done Dance Filthy down in Florida. I did Haute Velour, Carmine Black's show. The first year they did it, I won freestyle. So yeah, I've done a lot of competitions and I love them.
Maybe we should have asked which competitions have you not done?
Oh, and I absolutely. And how can I even forget? Because I just did whole theater down in St. Louis this year, and I did win semi-pro sensual.
Yes. OMG.
Yeah.
US Pole Champions is next, the pole circus.
I know there's a couple things that have been on my docket, you know, that I have on my bucket list that I want to do, that I'm hopefully saving for next year.
That's exciting. Can't wait to see what happens. Do you
Thank
have
you.
any tips or advice for those who may want to compete or stopped competing and may want to get back into it?
Yeah. I mean, my biggest thing that I can tell you is, you know, a lot of people say, you know, competing is what's going to like make you somebody. That's not necessarily true. You know, competing, it definitely takes a lot out of you physically, emotionally. I always tell people prepare for the emotional roller coaster of the ups and the downs throughout the entire process. For me, the reason I like to compete is because I feel like it keeps me challenged and doing certain things that may step me out of my box of comfort. So for me, I like to do that. People who want to get into competing, um, go for it. Like it's a really awesome experience. You know, some people like it and some people may not, and that's totally fine. Um, you know, definitely find yourself somebody who's done either the competition that you're wanting to do or, you know, looking into doing. Definitely do your research, you know, as to maybe like looking at the judging score sheet, you know, make sure that you're really building a routine or a piece for what it is that they're looking for in their score sheets. I feel like sometimes the mark is missed a little bit, and I think people get frustrated or do down on themselves when like things don't go as well. But at the end of the day, the other thing that you have to remember is like it is the opinion of somebody and it can go any way on any given day. You know, sometimes take feedback, you know, with a grain of salt. You know, you can't, you know, die on that hill. Um, but yeah, I also feel like for me personally, some of my other history, which I actually don't know if I included or not, but I've been showing dogs since I was about 10. And my mom and I breed, and I've, you know, shown at Westminster multiple years, which is the big dog show in New York. And I also was a junior handler, which is they're judging your handling ability and like the rapport that you have with your dog versus the conformation side, which is they're judging the dog. I was nationally ranked. I did place at Westminster when, you know, I was younger. So I feel like for me, that competitiveness has kind of like always been there or like the drive to want to compete. So I feel like that's also kind of like a little nugget of also probably why I love to compete. But definitely my suggestion would be find somebody who's done the competition, talk to them, really kind of get an understanding, and be prepared for the roller coaster. And even if you don't place, that's okay, because you put work and you put your heart and your soul and you left it on stage, and people will see that and you will get the recognition.
Right? You'll touch at least one person.
Facts.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
OMG, I'm thinking about your I'm gonna say it wrong. Westminster, the dog show experience. And
Westminster.
Westminster. And I'm like, oh my God, it would be awesome. A pole and dog show somehow.
It's funny. I actually saw, oh, and her name is blanking on me right now, an Australian gal. I think she just kind of did like a funny piece about that. And I had commented and I was like, this just kind of resonates with me because like I show dogs. Oh, it was Gracie Bunton, I think.
I love that. OMG.
Yeah.
Wow. So you've been winning ever since you were younger. That's so inspiring. That is
Hell
incredible.
yeah. And then I was wondering, do you coach online? So if there's competitors out there who are interested, can they contact you for online coaching?
Yeah, I do online coaching. People have sent me videos and stuff. I did do a lot of like Zoom classes, early pandemic. Um, but now time-wise, I'm more just I'm happy to review videos, provide feedback. I have done some virtual privates. Um, I do like doing more in-person privates, but I know, locational wise, not everybody is there. But yes, I am happy to help anybody. I am also a PSO unicorn or ambassador. So generally, if people have questions about PSO comp levels, videos, like, hey, is this move allowed? They can also come to me. And if I don't have the answer, then I go to the team.
Right. I just, when I was out on the road with PSO, you were the number one unicorn to contact about stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I
And
can't wait to talk to her.
and I'm telling you, there's plenty of times where I'm just like, I don't know if I want to make that call, if it's legal or not move, but let me ask the team because I'll definitely get that for you. Because sometimes like people ask me like some pretty tricky questions as far as like moves and like, is this, appropriate for like a level 2 and a level 3? And I'm just kind of like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, in my head, I'm saying yes, but let me also just double verify with somebody, somebody else, because I'd hate to be that person to tell, to steer somebody wrong. And then, they're like, hey, Christine said so.
Backed by the team. But thank you so
Right?
much for being so knowledgeable and available too, because super helpful,
Yeah,
especially in the heat of
always.
the moment.
Yeah, always.
And if y'all listening or watching have any questions, we'll have her Instagram handles and all her information in the comments and notes below.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
and
always got
you've done some judging too, for several competitions as well. Do you want to give any tips for people who are interested in judging or um, for competitors, how to read judges' comments?
Ooh, reading judges' comments sometimes can be hard. I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that because there's always been one feedback of mine that has always stuck, and I always every time I have like an informational meeting for PSO, I always kind of give it as like a funny like you can just leave some judges' feedback. It was I had done a Phantom of the Opera piece, and I had a mask that came over eyes and down the side of my face, like the Phantom of the Opera. And if you're not familiar, look it up because it's but the one judge's comment was, I would have liked to see more mouth movement. What does that mean? I really. Um, so was just kind of one of those comments where I was just like, I don't know what that means. So when I tell students, when you're reading your feedback, some of the things that you have to keep in mind is, judges are doing their absolute best to try and provide you with good feedback, stuff to improve on. You have like a 3.5 minute routine that you have to watch, and then you're trying to make comments, trying to score. So sometimes the spelling mistakes are there. Just try and figure it out. We honestly try and do our best. I honestly think, like, for people who want to be judges, I think it definitely gives you, from a competitor standpoint, a very different understanding, especially of like technicality and like breakdowns of what the judging score looks like. That's why I always suggest, if you want to do a competition, look at your score sheet, look at what they're looking for, make a checklist for your routine, check off those boxes so you have everything. And if you have everything, then it just comes down to an opinion and show day. Because we all know anything can happen on stage. You could have your best run, or it could not be your best run. But yeah, it definitely gives you a different perspective being behind the judges table and looking at somebody's, looking at it more in a critiquing way. Did that answer the question? I feel like I kind of went off on a tangent.
No, that was perfect. Yeah. Right. I do also believe that judging makes you a better choreographer and coach too, because you get to see the other side and you're like, oh.
And you definitely see like some routines and stuff where you're just kind of like, oh, like I really like that. Or, oh, maybe make a mental note of that may not have worked, or if you wanted it to work, like how could it have been done maybe differently, or,
Yes. I don't think I would have ever told anybody, though I would like to see more mouth.
It's honestly the one comment that always sticks with me, which I think is hilarious, because then when I look back at my photos, I'm like, I see like, I don't know, mouth movements and things. But it was just one of those funny things where I'm just like, I'm just going to leave that comment and not even bother dealing with it.
Yeah. I will say I have only one experience judging, and I am glad I did it, and I'm looking forward to more judging, because you're right, it does give you a different perspective. And it was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, you should definitely do it. It's fun.
Yes, I put an application for Northeast, so we'll see. And then the Pulse,
Yes.
Yes.
I think I'm doing the Pulse Circus again this year, so we'll see.
Oh, yes. That's another one that I wanted to dabble with, but I haven't gotten around to doing it yet.
Ooh,
Oh, it's super fun. Yeah.
I keep seeing like videos and stuff from that comp and that show, and I'm just kind of like, oh, looks fun.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely recommend it.
gee, that would be so much fun.
Yes.
Oh,
I
God.
don't, did we ever mention where the studios where you teach?
Yeah, so I teach, the studio that I teach at in Chicago is Velvet and Chrome. They opened this year. And then the other studio that I currently teach at is in Aurora, Tease Dance and Naperville, Tease Dance and Fitness in Naperville, Aurora. And I've been with Tease since I've started my pole journey. And then I used to teach at the old brass ring back in Chicago. And then I did a little bit of teaching during like the pandemic online while I was still pregnant. But I went back to teaching into the city once Velvet and Chrome opened.
Now that you mentioned that, I feel like you were a teacher of Lisa Bella as well. Do you?
Yes.
Lisa Bella is everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, she was my student for a long time. And I actually remember judging her at USPDF. I want to say when she did her novice sexy, and I'm pretty sure I think
She placed third. I was there too.
I was gonna say second or third, yeah. And I remember like watching and judging her. And let me tell you, that is a competition to judge because when you've got 22 people that you're judging, woof, that's hard. Because A, they're all so amazing. But yeah, but Lisa was amazing. And then she came to Tease. She lived here for a while and then she moved. And now I just follow her journey online and she's doing absolutely incredible things. From continuing like her dance background and chains and performing and flying pole and doubles and all the things, like all the things. I am just so beyond proud of her, and she's bloomed into a beautiful woman. I mean, she always was, but so I'm glad that I got to cross path with her, and a portion of her whole journey.
Yeah, such a small world.
Oh yeah.
Two. And what class are you teaching?
Say that one more time.
What classes are you teaching at your studios?
So right now at Velvet and Chrome, I am teaching a fundamental. Um, we like to name our class because it's Velvet and Chrome, but it's fundamentals. Level, it was kind of like a level 1, 2. I'm kind of at like a level 2, 3 because sometimes I like to go rogue and do a little harder things for fundamentals. But absolutely love it because I think that everybody, no matter where you are in your pole journey, you can always go back to your foundation, and either finesse something or really kind of tweak something, more understand it, mechanically versus just doing. So I teach fundamentals there. And I also teach a level 2, 3 tricks class. I teach there Wednesday night. And then on Tuesday nights, I am at Tease Dance and Fitness and I teach a slink and slither class, which is a low flow heels class. I don't necessarily want to say choreo. It's more, I mean, it's kind of like half choreo, half sequencing. Just because lately I've changed my methodology on how I teach that class. So I used to do more strict choreo where this is a song, these are the movements. And over the past maybe year that I've been doing it, I've changed to these are the movements and I'm going to put on a random song. And you guys, I'm going to have you kind of move and ebb and flow with how the music suits you. I'll still do the choreo with you, but like I want you to kind of start feeling like in your mind, your body, because everybody hears music differently, but get them to what moves them, is it the softer beats, is it the undertones, is it the hard hitting, so I like them to dabble with that. And then my second class is a higher level, level 8 tricks class, which for our studio is the advanced class.
Oh yeah.
Which are tricks and shit.
Oh my gosh. I love how you describe how you changed the way that you teach the choreo class. I also did it very similar because I found like everyone was just trying to copy me so much that they were not getting their own authenticity. So I
Yes.
wanted them to like really find their own movements. So I appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, even especially when like I start a new session because we do like 8-week classes. But I always start like on the first day, like I'm like, listen, this is the choreo. You're not gonna look like me. You're gonna look like you dancing, and that's gonna be beautiful. You may not get all the moves, and that's okay. You may hate some of them, but you may love some of them and take those and start working them into your own freestyles or your own choreo you know, but I understand you're not going to take every single nugget away from class, but that's also where you need to start kind of learning to develop your own, like, what do you like as a dancer? What moves really work well for your body, for your flexibility or your style.
Yes. Do you have anything else to share about your pole dancing or teaching philosophies?
Um, Oh, I feel like I could go on like a huge tangent about that. I mean, I feel like, I mean, I did share a good amount. My teaching style for me, I am absolutely your biggest cheerleader. Students who know me, my favorite phrases are number one, strong work, and number two, come down and do it again. I am the type of teacher where I love for you to not only get the trick or the move, but I want you to start understanding it. Like, how does it feel for you? Not just, hey, look, here's my pose and for the Instagram picture. You know, where am I squeezing? Where am I really thinking of that pushing, pulling? Where do I need to tuck around or all of those little nitpicky things. I like to like once the student like gets the move and is starting to feel really comfortable, I'm just kind of like, okay, like now walk me through it. Like, what are you feeling? Where do you feel that you need to make your slight adjustment for your body? Because I want them to start understanding it. Because again, not everybody has the same body, you know, and you have to really understand and learn, mechanically, physically, like where things need to be in space, not only to keep your joints, ligaments, tendons, muscles, and everything else safe. Because realistically, if I stop pole dancing, that probably will never happen. But if I were to stop, like I would entrust all of my students. They have a solid foundation of fundamentals because they're going to be the generation that eventually is going to be replacing us. So like I want them to know, and there's plenty of things where like I've learned because doing this for 13 years, but like that I was taught. And now I'm just kind of like, you know, here's a better way of teaching it. And this is why. I recently last year did Marlo Fiskin's Invert Ready coaching and mind blown. Because I love like the anatomy and the physiology and everything behind actually what you're doing, So it's like I tell my students all the time, I'm like, I know I've been teaching this way for 10 years, but here's how we're now going to change because this makes sense for more people and for more body types than how I was taught or how I was teaching it. So even as an instructor who's been doing it for so long, like also understand that how you may have learned something 10 years ago, things have evolved like rapidly for pole, and just more of an understanding of where things are going. So definitely like advice for instructors, don't always be stuck in your old ways. Be willing to learn, understand like the biomechanics of like different things and different moves. Again, I think I went on a tangent. I'm sorry.
No, it was great. I especially loved how you talked about like feeling in the shapes rather than just making the shapes, like being more mindful and
Yeah.
demure.
Demure. Being more demure and mindful.
But really like being more mindful like when you're in the shapes because a lot of times we'll just get them and be like, I did it.
Let's take a picture.
Yeah.
You didn't.
Yeah. It's like, hey, look, I did it. But like,
Did you
now
do
did
it?
we do it? Can we dance into it? Can we dance out of it? How can we like make it a thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's so
Be
important
demure.
also that no matter how long you've been teaching, you're still willing to learn and grow and change your teaching methods to fit more body types, more learning styles, and things like that. It's so important as instructors.
Yeah. Always a student. Always a student.
Mhm.
And I do have to say, definitely it helped for me personally as well as my teaching um, to go through pregnancy, teaching through pregnancy up until 39 weeks, coming back postpartum, um, you know, I always joked with my students when I would tell them I was in a plow and I was very pregnant, you know, and your boobs were so engorged and like they were in your face. And I was like, I understand now what larger chested women go through in a plow when you're like suffocating yourself. I'm like, I get that now. You know, so it's like sometimes, you know, just having your own, you know, different experiences really kind of helps understand what somebody else might be going through as well.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Right, because things you would never think of, because yeah, outside of your body.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking about the plow because that's recently been one of my favorite warm-ups, and I'm like, God, I hope I haven't suffocated any student and haven't realized.
It's a great exercise and I still love doing the plow, but I also kind of give the if you guys need to come out of it earlier or sooner, like, you know, just be mindful of how it's feeling for you.
Good times. Do you happen to have, we talked about your two favorite doubles. Do you have a solo favorite pole trick?
Oh, honestly, anything, my bread and butter is anything Aisha. Aisha, Iron X, pop outs. I could talk about Aisha's forever.
Didn't you say you did an Iron X when you were while you were pregnant, all the way up until the
That
end?
Yep, that was my one goal that because again, back in the day, you know, when you got an Iron X, you like made it. You were somebody. And I had worked so hard for that stupid trick, but I love it. And I was always like, if I'm going to get pregnant, I want to make sure that I can do an Iron X through like the entirety of my pole journey. And I did for both pregnancies. I Iron X'd up until 39 weeks. And the day that I went in for my induction with Aubrey, I was like, hold on, honey, I need to do a really quick Iron X before we leave for the hospital. I'm like, I got to get this in.
Too funny. Now you're sending pics with one of your children on you during an Iron X.
Yep. And that now, Chris, is my new goal. Every year I'm going to take a family picture with either my son or my daughter standing on top of me in my Iron X because why not?
Too funny. That means every year you have to get stronger because they're gonna get bigger. That's a good workout.
Exactly.
Or they'll have to get stronger because they'll have to hold themselves up.
Oh, absolutely. They will definitely have to
Oh.
get stronger with me. So,
Well, then the other half of the question is, what is your least favorite trick?
oof, what is my least favorite trick? I don't know if I really have like a least favorite trick. You know, cocoons always kind of like scared me. But honestly, I feel like least favorite tricks or anything having to do with like a lot of like back flexibility. Um, just because, you know, bodies change and I don't have as much time as I would love to devote to like my stretching again. Um, so I feel like the struggle bus for me right now is kind of like back and shoulder flexibility issues. So any tricks that kind of like live in that realm. I used to just pop into my Gennaro like in my sleep, and now postpartum, that bitch be gone. She'll come back one day.
The elusive Gennaro.
Yeah, yeah. She'll come back one day. I just
Yes.
keep poking at her every now and then, but
Not yet, but coming soon.
not yet. Coming soon. Coming soon to a theater near you.
And speaking of coming soon, do you have any upcoming things that you want to plug coming soon for you?
Judging the aerial star competition, coming up later in this November, December time frame. Other than that, not really for the end of the year. I more so have I'm in conversation with a couple people, Wisconsin and Michigan area about potentially coming up next year for some workshops, which I'm super excited about. Because that'll be kind of the first time that I am starting to do a little bit of traveling for some workshops. So I'm very excited about that. So that's definitely something to stay tuned to. In the back of my head, there's a couple comps that I would like to apply to next year. But I'll keep those on the DL. But yeah, I feel like other than that, I don't know. I don't know where things will take me.
Right? Competitors better watch out. Little
No.
Snipper's coming back.
They're
We
gonna
don't
come
know which
back.
one.
Which brings us to the next question. You don't know where they're going to take you, but where do you hope they take you within 5 years?
Oh, within 5 years. I feel like in 5 years, my kids are definitely going to be in kindergarten and I'm going to have a lot more time to pull. Um, so I don't know. I would love to eventually have my own she shed in my backyard, for just my own like personal, polling and my own friends. By no means will I do not want to open my own studio. I just want my friends to come and jam with me because I think that's way more fun. But in 5 years, I don't know. I do want to make it to PoleCon because I have yet to go. Before the world shut down, I was accepted into the Sexy Showcase, but I have not gone back since. So that is definitely a goal of mine. Couple competition things in my head that I would love to, wear sparkly things for, but you never know.
Like there's
Hopefully,
sparkles in the future.
hopefully sparkles and sashes and all fun things. Because you got to have a goal in mind. Definitely still continuing to teach and obviously start to do a little bit of travel for workshops. So yeah.
Yay, love it.
Oh, you're gonna be busy.
Always, because if you're stationary, that's just, oh, I gotta do stuff. I'm an ER nurse. I'm a busy girl. Gotta stay
Yes.
busy.
I'm super excited to see what competitions you'll be doing and hopefully we'll get to meet up along the way or pull together in the
Yes.
future sometime.
Yes, absolutely. Maybe I'll have to make a Massachusetts appearance.
That would be awesome.
Never been out there, so
Yes.
Definitely go to, wait, have I been to Chicago? Yes, I feel like I have.
And
Very long time ago.
yeah, I definitely need to go. It's on my
Yeah.
list.
yes.
No, we
Yes,
gotta
yes.
what's that? Oh, do you have a favorite hand grip that you prefer to use, if any?
I love dry hands and dew points. Those are pretty much my go-to, especially dew points in the winter Chicago months. Your skin is so dry. Weather's dry. It's just cold. So I love dew point, especially for like winter months. Summer, I definitely enjoy classic dry hands. I have been wanting to try the monkey grip. I've heard some good things about that, but I haven't tried them yet. And dust, what is it? Dancing dust. That's the other one. The dancing dust, the spray. That's the other one I really like
Yep.
because they have a little shimmer in them.
The glitter, yeah.
Glitter.
I love it. I
And
love it.
the monkey grip, the monkey hand is awesome. I have to try the dancing dust though myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was just thinking of another student who you might have had that she is in the Chicago. She might be from Chicago. Her name is Gigi. She's really tall.
Really.
But
well,
she travels.
I do have a couple of tall gals that I teach, but Gigi does not sound familiar to me.
I forgot
Okay.
what studio Gigi's from. We have to ask her.
Right. She definitely goes to Chicago.
Yeah, you'll have to ask her and just shoot me a message and let me know.
I was gonna be like, another one.
Such a small world, too.
I mean, I guess that's the perks of being around for a really long time. I kind of know a lot of people.
Yes.
But hopefully only ever hear good things.
Yes,
Facts.
for
I,
sure. Only good things.
I hope that on the future, everybody knows our name and it's only good thing.
Oh, for sure, for sure. But like I said, if you ask any of my students, I'm sure the majority of them would say, you know, you're going to get a good workout when you go to Little Snipper's class. She's definitely going to make you do it again, and she'll definitely tell you strong work or yes, and I will smack your ass.
Oh, I love the strong work though. Like that's a really good thing to say.
Yes.
Favorite
Yeah.
quote of all time.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to start using it along with what I say, work smarter, not harder.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
I
Oh,
think we went through all of the questions.
I have one more that's kind of new that I want to start asking, so you'll be like the first one.
Yeah, let's do it.
And it's only because of recent events and emails we've gotten. Um,
Oh,
you've been in the industry for a long time, for 13 years. Where do you see um, where do you see pole dance going, and what do you hope changes within the industry?
I feel like that's kind of a loaded question, especially now, because I feel like there's still a big push, you know, for a lot of folks, to want pole like in the Olympics, especially like post Olympics. You know, I feel like we always kind of like get that push. Um, you know, I feel like a ton has changed culturally. You know, especially, you know, giving way more props and way more, awesomeness to, you know, our founders, you know, our strippers, which God bless for them because I mean they're the OGs that put in the real work. So literally shout out to anybody who even my stripper friends because God bless you, y'all killing it out there. Um, you know, and definitely taking that stigma. But I I'm curious to see where it's gonna go because especially for me, like, you know, when I started, it was a lot of the tricks and and the Olympics and wanting to kind of like streamline everything. And then, you know, it kind of ebbed and flowed into the sexy stuff, and then it kind of got back into the tricks, and now it's very kind of much into like the low flow arena and not so heavy on tricks. Like people are still doing tricks and it's still awesome and amazing, but I feel like a lot is kind of more like that low flow area. So I really don't kind of know where it's going to go. But I love that like everybody's just really kind of keeping an open palette to where things are going to go. um Am I a fan of wanting pole in the Olympics? Me personally, no. Um, but that's just my opinion.
Yes, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Right. I wonder how it would be in the Olympics. Like, can you imagine judging it in the Olympics? See?
I feel like it would definitely cause kind of like a huge divide of people who are like either like doing like the Olympic stuff or they're, kind of, I feel like it would very much like split things a lot of the way.
Yeah.
But I don't have my crystal ball, so
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. And thank you for that
yeah.
last minute question, Chris.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I asked because we are a podcast. We've been doing this for 3 years, and I want us to be able to talk about things people want to talk about, where pole dancing where they've seen pole dancing and where they hope it goes. Because I mean, if we put it
Mm-hmm.
out there, if we talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I feel like it's definitely starting to get more of like a recognition too, just, even from like a lot of like, musical influencers, like a lot, like Snoop Dogg. I mean, he's going like his huge on his tours and stuff and having, dancers from all over, and I know a lot of other, musical artists are starting to do the same thing too. So I feel like it's definitely becoming obviously way more, accepted compared to what I had started with, where it was a very my gosh, you didn't tell anybody that you did it, you know But I don't know. I'll be definitely curious to see where it goes. I mean, it's definitely growing in a ton of popularity. Even in my area alone, there were two new pole studios that just recently opened up.
Yeah.
So I feel like you're going to see a lot more studios kind of popping up too. Um, yeah.
I
Right?
hope
It could go anywhere.
I hope they regulate it on because I've heard some scary studio stories.
To be
Same. That's for an off-camera conversation.
I know.
That's an episode another day, regulating studio norms or whatever.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
That
So,
one's hard. That one's hard.
It is.
and
The studio culture, I feel like, is a whole another hot topic.
yes,
Fact.
we
Studio
have a
culture, owners,
Hmm.
we have a bunch of
instructors.
upcoming topics. Perhaps you'd be interested in coming back on and talking about that in the future as well.
Let me know.
Yeah.
Definitely have, yeah, I definitely have some opinions, but
Yeah, especially because you have a strong opinion of not wanting to own a studio.
yeah, yeah,
Maybe we
yeah.
can find out why in our next episode with Little Snipper.
Maybe. Stay tuned.
We're not trying to start any problems within the industry. We're just trying to
Mm,
talk about conversations that need to be have, like things that, like you mentioned, are hush hush that we don't really talk about.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
mostly
believe
because
you me, if you know me, I'm not one to make waves, but you know, I feel like also as somebody who is in their 40s, I feel like I have kind of like a different outlook, you know, to kind of some of the like the younger generation. Um,
yeah,
it's just a different way of thinking.
right. And it's like you said before about like just passing on better information as it comes around so you can help the industry grow. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like definitely like there's a big thing to, really understanding, the history, and in pole dance and in your area. Um, I think those are really big, important, topics too, especially for a lot of people.
Yes.
And also like make your career based on winning competitions or your career based on social media. Is there a difference? Things like that. I think that's huge now in the pole industry. There's so much to talk about.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, don't get me started on the whole Instagram thing. Listen, in order to talk about Instagram, you got people like 0.5 seconds that you got to grab that attention.
Yes.
Hmm. Right. And I'm usually climbing during that.
It's funny. That's why I started editing the climbs on. They don't need to see me climb.
You like start with the trick. Yeah. I know. I'm almost like half tempted to just like post like a video that I want to, but like figure out how I can like post it going backwards for the entirety of the whole thing
Too
Yes.
and be like, well, I'm glad the end caught your attention.
Oh my gosh. Tricks.
Yeah.
This has been fun. Thank you so much, Christine, Little Snipper.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And thank you so much to everyone who has listened to or watched this episode of Pole on the Call podcast. My name is Mandy Mac. Woo!
Yes.
Is it time for us to show up?
Yes! The premiere.
The tiger striped green heels. I love it.
Right? The Pole on the Call premiere of these brand new shoes. Where are they from?
Shout out to Show Pony.
So
So
pony.
pony.